Justin Pooni, the first episode of Homestand Leafs is this one right now. And of course it starts. The man, the myth, the legend, the guy we've been talking about since the beginning of the season, since the offseason. William Nylander signs the contract. Largest contract in Toronto Maple Leafs history. 8 years, $11.5 million per year, which equals $92 million. Your reaction straight out of the gate?
My immediate thought was, bye, Mitch Marner. It's been nice seeing you.
Bye, Mitch Marner?
Yeah, that's it. It's done. Mitch Marner's time in Toronto after this season is over because Albert, $11.5 million. You said it yourself. The biggest contract in Toronto Maple Leafs history.
Yeah.
A full no movement clause. Signing bonuses up the wazoo the whole way through this contract. The Toronto Maple Leafs are never going to win a Stanley Cup with this current cap construction. You kept William Nylander for 8 years. You kept Austin Matthews. Kudos to you. But quite frankly, you will never win a Stanley Cup. And I'm sorry. It should be a joyous day. They signed Nylander to a big contract extension. He was getting the stick taps, led the stretches in the practice this morning. But
big news.
It is done. No Stanley Cup dreams are done because, Albert, you cannot pay next year 4 guys $11+ million and a defenseman $7.5 million and expect to win a Stanley Cup. This team is so top heavy cap wise. This William Nylander, Michael Nylander went into Brad Treliving's office with Bernard Shanahan too, played hardball, and they knocked it out of the park. They did.
They got everything they wanted.
There was absolutely no concession the Nylander camp made whatsoever. William Nylander nearly got a $5 million raise, got a full 8-year max contract. What did the Leafs get out of this other than keeping Nylander? Nothing, right? And again, he's played great. He earns the money he's getting right now, absolutely. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, once again, cannot make a difficult decision, cannot play hardball in negotiations. They give the player exactly what they want. We'll make Austin Matthews the highest paid player in the league. Yes. Which nobody can deny the way he's playing right now that he deserves that title.
You
right?
know what you're getting.
You know what you're getting. But like you've talked about this entire season, 87 points was his career high before this year, right? Never touched 100 points. He's on pace to get that this year, right? But is one season worth giving a man $92 million guaranteed? I don't think so.
Not even one season.
Right? I'm a Canucks fan.
30-plus games.
Exactly. I'm a Canucks fan, right? This does extreme damage to the Elias Pettersson contract because if William Nylander is getting $11.5 for 8 years, a guy like Pettersson's going to get 12+. A guy like Mitch Marner sees this, and his camp, including Paul Marner, sees, okay, when it's time for our turn to negotiate, Brad Treliving, we're going to start at 12.25.
Well, Marner was always going to get his because his is based off what Matthews gets, essentially.
Exactly. But because of this, right, Nylander now is higher up in the pecking order, and Marner has to surpass him, right? In the internal cap and the landscape of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mitch Marner needs to be the second highest paid player on the Toronto Maple Leafs, Albert.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you now, but yeah, it's good.
I don't know what's left to be said. We've been talking about this so much, but because this is the first episode of Homestand Leafs, I'll reiterate what I've said before, but just a couple of key details from Elliot Friedman on the contract. So $69 million are in bonuses, and $27 million of contract paid in the first 2 years. So the breakdown, I'll throw it up on the screen for the YouTube viewers, but if you're listening, the breakdown is as it goes. Year 1, $3.5 million base with a $10 million signing bonus. Second year, same thing. Third year, $1 million base salary, 11.5 bonus, and then it goes on, and then right up into the 7th and 8th season, his signing bonuses are 9 and 8 respectively. That's a lot of money. But listen, it's crazy because before the season started, we were talking about this. We were comparing him to Sebastian Aho, Timo Meier. We're like, okay, 8.5, $9 million. That's probably about right for Willie Nylander. How it ended up getting to 11.5, I have no idea. I would love to know what number the contract negotiation started at. I'm going to assume it was 9.5, $10 million, and he played himself into 11.5. He almost played himself out of the market in a way.
Well, in the last week,
because he's been playing so well. But I mean, listen, how can you look at this and frame it as a good deal? And one way you're keeping a homegrown player who wants to play here. That's huge. And I'll go with that. That's fine. Can he be the guy that's going to turn this franchise around and potentially win the Stanley Cup with this team? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. We haven't seen it with this core 4, if you want to call it core 5. It hasn't happened yet. You're paying a pretty penny, 11.5 per year, to have this guy on your roster in hopes that he becomes a 90 to 100-point player consistently. We still haven't seen that. What's going to happen now? This is a contract year. Let's see how he plays after this signing. This is what's going to determine if this is going to be worth it or not.
He's going to be 35 years old, making the cap is $11.5 million.
And he got the no move clause included as well.
No move clause
all the way till the end.
You mentioned something interesting, how they kept a homegrown player that wants to stay in Toronto. Well, did he show that he wants to stay in Toronto? Did he? We talked about the other day. If he went to free agency, he probably would have got 12, right? Oh, he took a $500,000 haircut to stay with the Leafs and still got a full 8-year deal, right? And the way I see it is this. You're a Leafs fan, right? We had the debate last night about who's a better player of all time, Wendell Clark or Trevor Linden. You died with Wendell Clark. Stupid debate. But if it means so much to these guys to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, if it means so much to win with the Toronto Maple Leafs, why can't they take less money, right?
That's what I'd love to know. You got to take the extra 5? You couldn't take the 11?
Look, I'm a capitalist, right? I believe that you should get every dollar you earn, right? So no discredit there. But if they talk about how important winning is, then show it. Don't just say it in the media to make yourself look good. This is a move that it's a fair market value deal for William Nylander for what he's currently playing like right now. Is it going to work out in 8 years' time? No, I don't think so. Now,
of course not.
Will it turn to the Jonathan Huberdeau deal where he's going to be, parked and getting scratched and benched in the third period of games? I hope not, for the Leafs' sake. But this is just, you have to wonder, and you mentioned it off air, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, is this Brendan Shanahan just saying, you got to keep these guys here? Whatever you do, through hell or high water, you have to keep Nylander, Marner, Matthews, and Tavares, and you cannot lose them. That is my only wish. You cannot get rid of those players.
Yeah, I don't think this is all in Brad Treliving. I honestly feel like Brendan Shanahan's calling the shots. We heard it after Dubas was canned. What happened? Apparently Shanahan called the core 4, called the main guys, saying, don't worry, we're keeping you guys together. That says a lot. I mean, just looking at the biggest contracts in the NHL next season, Matthews is number 1, McKinnon number 2, McDavid 3, Panarin 4. Number 5 is Nylander with Karlsson at 11.5. So 2 players in the top 7 of the highest paid players will be on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And not too far behind.
And for the first time in NHL history, one team will have 4 players making north of $10 million. The only team that has 4 players making north of 10 is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The only team currently who has 3 players making that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a big problem. This is a massive problem. You cannot win like this. We've seen this before. I'm going to go over and over and over. And I don't care. Everyone can come at me and say, oh, Nylander's a good player. You had to keep him. Yes, they had to keep him. But how do you get fleeced this way in negotiations once again? How does that happen? This year, I don't care what anyone tells me. As good as the Leafs have been playing, they've matured defensively. They can score goals. They're getting bailed out by goaltending. They're not winning the Stanley Cup. I don't care what they do at the deadline. And they're probably not going to make a deep push in the Stanley Cup. Next year, it's even worse. There's 12 free agents. This 11.5 kicks in. Matthews' new deal kicks in. Okay, it's Tavares' last year, but it's still $11 million against the cap.
Marner's 10.9.
Where do you think Mitch Marner's going to go? I keep hearing, oh, this is a perfect time to trade Mitch Marner. Why would Mitch Marner give in? These players have never gave in to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Why would he say, you know what? You guys don't want to keep me. I got a no move. Here, I'll waive that. You trade me wherever you want me to trade me. That's not going to happen. This is not how it works for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're going to need a goaltender. They're going to need defensemen. They're going to need to fill out the rest of that roster. Expect the same thing that's happening this season, patchwork throughout the lineup, to happen next season. That's the only way this is going to work. You're relying on those 4 players to go out there and win you Stanley Cup. And it hasn't happened before, and it's not going to happen again. That's just the bottom line with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And any player that they moving forward who comes here, if they end up getting another superstar down the road, they know they can take these guys to the bank and fleece them completely. Nylander got exactly what he wanted. Everything. No move. Bonuses. Max money. Max term. What the hell did the Leafs get out of this except keeping a homegrown player? That may or may not pan out because you're going off this 35, 36 game sample size. And I love watching the guy play. The guy is amazing. He's one of the best players in the league. When he's in full flight, like it's great watching him play. And there's no doubt he's a great player. Is he 11.5? 40 points in 50 playoff games? Is that worth 11.5? Pastrnak makes 11.25, scores 60 goals. That's worth 11.25. And he took a shade of a discount, as did McKinnon. Why can't these guys do that? What am I missing here with this Toronto Maple Leafs cap? I hate talking about the cap, but what am I missing? How come the players have so much power in Toronto?
Because
there's no backbone in this front office.
Because the organization gives it to them. You look at it. We watch all those blueprint videos and all that stuff right there. This team is run by those 4 players.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews could say this: I want to be the highest paid player in the league. You make me the highest paid player in the league. Otherwise, I might go to Arizona. Okay, Austin, wherever you want. Here, please don't leave us. Please don't leave us.
I'll give you the Matthews one. You have to sign.
You know
Austin
what's going to happen next year with Mitch Marner if they don't sack up and have the difficult decision that, hey, we got to trade you out of town? You know what Mitch Marner and camp are going to do? Well, if Nylander's making 11.5 and he only had one good year, I've been pretty consistent my whole time here. I'm making 10.9. I'm making less than John Tavares. Right? I'm the guy from the GTA. I'm the true homegrown superstar. He doesn't have to say any of that. No, but exactly. But he doesn't have to.
No.
But if they want to, you know the Marner camp's going to play hardball.
But Marner's a hometown guy, right? Maybe he'll take a discount.
No.
You know what, Pooni, listen. I mean, we'll take a break quickly and we'll come back. We'll continue with this. But I don't want to be mad about this.
You have to be.
And I am.
If you are a true Leafs fan and you truly care about this team winning the ultimate prize, the ultimate goal, a Stanley Cup, what is this helping you to win a Stanley Cup? This is just going around in a circle,
My brother's calling me right now, probably to talk about William Nylander. The only way this contract is worth it is what?
They win a Stanley Cup.
1 cup. It could be 1 cup in the 8 years, and it'll be like, great deal. 11.5, we finally got a cup. First time since 1967. That's the only way that this contract is going to be worth it. I don't care about the regular season. No Leaf fan cares about the regular season, no matter what they tell you on Twitter. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Let's look at the playoff production quickly of 3 players. Mitch Marner, 47 points in 50 games. Now you hear that, and you're like, man, that is a hell of a playoff player. Look at that production. 47 points, 10 goals, 37 assists. You watch him play.
Don't even notice him.
Watch him play. Ice shrinks. He can't play in the playoffs. Matthews, okay, I'll give him this. 44 points in 50 games. Pretty good playoff performer. Nylander, last season, maybe even the season before that, maybe the best forward in the playoffs. I still think maybe Morgan Riley has probably been one of the best players in the playoffs, but I don't see 40 points in 50 games. I don't see what he's doing in the regular season that merits this 11.5, and I don't care that the cap's going up. But it is what it is. This is the world that we live in. They held the Leafs in the front office against the fire, and they say, whatever you want, we'll give it to you.
Burn them to the ground.
Burn them to the ground. Hopefully the Leafs don't burn to the ground. They win a cup soon, or else this is going to age really badly. Okay, coming up after the break, I want to talk about how Willie's perception will change now. Because now he's going to go from the guy who's on a great deal, putting up points, to a guy who's making max money. And the moment he doesn't go to a corner to battle for a puck, what will Leafs fans think about him, knowing that he's making $11.5 million a year for the next 8 seasons? Okay, so I feel like now all that good grace that Willie has banked up over the years, playing on that, team-friendly contract, I think is now gone. Right? You're making a max deal, max money, max term, 11.5. You have to produce. And the Leafs fans and the media will look for any little thing to put that against him. And I think all that changes now, right? The perception of Willie, do you think changed moving forward? Absolutely.
The pressure is on William Nylander now. The biggest contract in Toronto Maple Leafs history. No other Leaf has signed a bigger deal than William Nylander, right? You mentioned the top salaries in the NHL, right? McKinnon, he's behind. McDavid, he's behind. But he's ahead of guys like, he's made the same amount of money as Erik Karlsson. 2-time Norris Trophy winner, just saying. Led a team to, almost the Stanley Cup Finals. David Pastrnak, right? Drew Doughty, Alexander Barkov, Anze Kopitar, right? You mentioned these guys that have carried teams or have been, leaders of teams. Do we consider William Nylander a leader? Now, we're not in the locker room, right? But from all indications, William Nylander's never really been considered a leader, right? William Nylander is a very good player. Right? He's a very good NHL player. Is he a superstar NHL player?
I mean, he's on pace for 120 points.
But does that make you a superstar, though?
Well, if you do it consistently.
Consistency,
right.
Exactly. All those guys I just mentioned, right? What makes them deserve those contracts and nobody even bats an eye, right? Consistency. Every single year, you're going to get what you get from them. William Nylander is 27 years old and in the middle of having a career season, right? At 27 years old, is he going to now project out to be a 100-point player for the next 3 years, do we think? can he be even a point per game player for the next? If he's a point per game player for the next 4 years, on 80.
God, that's what you're paying for, Justin.
But is that worth $11 million a year though?
If he's scoring 90 to 100 points every single season, it's worth it.
It's again, if he's at the same pace, but even if he goes down to being an 80-point guy, a 75 to 85-point guy, is that worth $11 million?
Listen, let me put this way. He is worth this money in my opinion. Is he worth this money on the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's the conversation.
On the open market, he gets this.
Yeah,
right?
and I think everyone would be fine with it. It'd be like, all right, fine, give him the $11 million because he can play. We know he can play.
Yeah.
But under this cap, this structure with the Toronto Maple Leafs, that's where the question lies. That's where the concern is.
And now that this is it, all the pressure is now on William Nylander, right? You got the max deal, right? You cannot hide. Well, and again, the last deal you talked about was a team-friendly deal. That wasn't the case in the beginning, though. In the beginning of this deal, it was
over
not.
Time,
over time, it blossomed into that. Now it's not going to blossom into that. Now it's you got the big ticket deal you wanted. We gave it to you. Now you need to perform and live up to this expectation, right? And if William Nylander does not do that, Albert, there's.
I mean,
this could be crippling to the franchise.
I think
it could be crippling to the franchise.
I agree. I think the no move throughout the entire the contract is crazy. But I think there's something to be said about, one, a guy wanting to be here, wanting to play here. And I think out of probably him, Matthews, Marner, and Tavares, he probably is the one that is able to play here and can handle that type of pressure. He never looks stressed. The media doesn't really get to him. I think he thrives in front of the media. And that's something John Tavares actually said today. He goes, he's built to play here. I think there's something needs to be said about that. That's a positive. Where you're not just paying the guy because you're scared he's going to leave. The guy wants to stay here. He's like, I want to do whatever it takes to be here. But if they just so happen to back up the Brinks truck to make it happen. But not a lot of guys want to stay here and can't play under this. Ryan O'Reilly, perfect example.
But Ryan O'Reilly was different levels for this.
I understand that. Hometown guy wasn't interested in playing here because of the media and because you're under the microscope. That doesn't bother Willie. Look what happened when we went to Sweden. He thrived in that. That was a Willie Nylander tour. And he made it happen. Under pressure, under the microscope, he was the best player in that little series. What was that called again?
The Global Series?
The Global Series.
But he was going back home to Sweden. He was going back home to Sweden, though.
I understand that.
Right?
But I understand that, but I'm just saying, under the microscope, he can handle it. Is that worth $11.5 million?
No.
That's another conversation to have.
You're talking about how he wanted to be in Toronto. He wanted to be in Toronto because the Leafs were going to give him exactly what he wanted, and he knew that. He knew he could play in Toronto, get what he wanted, the exact contract he wanted, and he got it. He's playing in Toronto. He's going to get ready to see way more Rogers advertisements with William Nylander coming to a TV screen near you, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Twitter.
I love that.
Everything. You're going to see so much William Nylander now, it's going to be nauseating because that's what you're going to get now. To me, it's very... Had they played hardball with him and had they kind of got even 10.5, hell, even 11. If he got 11, right, I would have felt better about this. But because we heard last week, okay, 11.25, and then within a span of 3 days, it went up 250,000 to 11.5. That shows me that Nylander's camp leaked the 11.25, and then all of a sudden, they got to play hardball even some more and got an extra 250 grand out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right?
Some quotes are coming out right now. Nylander saying it was a really smooth process from start to finish.
There you go. There you go.
Tree Living is also talking on getting the deal with Nylander done. I don't think there was a time where we didn't feel we wouldn't cross the finish line.
Absolutely, because you're going to give him exactly what he wanted.
I think there was a bit of a panic from Tree Living and Shanahan. He's like, wow, this guy's playing really well.
He's a free agent. Oh, we can't lose him. Because, again, PTSD from Brad Tree Living. What happened? He lost Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk in the same summer. Both guys were having career seasons. Johnny Gaudreau has never looked the same in Columbus that he did his last year in Calgary, and he lost him for nothing. So what does Brad Tree Living do? I can't have the same thing happen to me again. I got to capitulate and do whatever I can to keep this guy who's having a career year. Because what happens if he goes to Chicago and plays alongside Bedard and rubs it in our face for years to come, right? You gotta be able to draw a line in the sand sometimes. And the Toronto Maple Leafs continuously under this Brendan Shanahan regime have felt the need never to draw a line in the sand. They cross the line over to the sand and give the player exactly what they wanted. And Albert, it's gonna bite them in the ass once again.
Probably.
And that's why I said this Stanley Cup dream is dead.
I will say this. They better hope Joseph Wall works out.
You better. But then you're gonna have to pay him eventually anyway.
Martin Jones is a free agent. Samsonov, free agent. You just got Joseph Wall, so you need a goalie.
So,
defenseman, TJ Brody off the books. You're going to have to find another key guy there. What are you going to do with Bertuzzi? What are you going to do with the other 10 free agents?
let me ask you this.
There's a lot that needs to happen over the next year and a half.
Create this discussion right now. I said in the beginning, I said that when I immediately saw this contract, I knew it was the end of Mitch Marner's time in Toronto.
Come on.
Do you think
Yes.
that Brad Tree Living can go to Mitch Marner in the offseason and say, Mitch, look, we love you, we want to keep you, but we know your price is going to be way too high for us to afford you and build out a team. We will trade you. We know you have a full move clause, but we will trade you to any team that you want to go to. Do right by you, but we just want to get some assets back. Do you think he has the stones to do that? Or him and Brendan Shannon have the stones to go to Mitch Marner and say, look, Mitch, we know you're a Toronto guy, but we just can't afford to keep you. Wherever you want to go, we will help facilitate a trade there, but we just can't keep you and pay you.
I'm under the impression that the Toronto Maple Leafs front office have no idea what they're doing. I mean, can you argue that?
It's true.
Good luck, right? Brendan Shanahan is protecting these guys.